Yeah, I'm making this YouTube video because I got a question I like to pose to people. Okay? Could Bill Gates be the Antichrist in Revelation 13? I don't know, but it seems like he checks a lot of the boxes. Alright? I'm going to go ahead and read Revelations 13, go through the whole chapter, and I'm going to explain each one. Okay? But after you hear this and you think about this for a minute, could he be? I don't know if he is or not, because I don't know, when the Antichrist gets revealed after the first seal gets broken. I think we're going to be raptured before that happens. But based on all the things that are going on in the world today, could Bill Gates be the Antichrist? Is the question I would like you people to think about. All right? Revelation 13 in the King James Bible, verse 1. And I stood upon the sands of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. I'd like you to key in on that last part of verse 7. And the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and great authority. Since this COVID-19 virus came out, Bill Gates came on the scene, okay? He stepped down. He took over trying to work on a vaccine for this COVID-19 virus, okay, which is his power, his seat, and authority. The president and other people are listening to what Bill Gates is saying. He's an advisor now on this epidemic, this COVID-19 epidemic that he got going on. Pandemic, epidemic, whatever you want to call it. But that's what he got the power of. It's the COVID-19 vaccine, and the dragon gave the power. It came from China. You already know my thoughts on China. I think that's the dragon that gave power is the COVID-19 virus. Okay? That's what I just want you to think about. I mean, for real. Isn't the COVID-19, doesn't Bill Gates have he's the advisor for the COVID-19 virus? He wasn't nothing except the CEO of Microsoft, but now all of a sudden he stepped down. Now all of a sudden everybody's listening to whatever he says. Okay, this is one part I would like to point out. That's one of the reasons I say that he might be the Antichrist. Verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Well, you got to think about it. When this revelation was going on, it was going on back in biblical times, okay? So they didn't have TV, technology, or anything like this back in biblical times, okay? Bill Gates got slammed in the face with a pie, okay? If you're in biblical times and you see an image of something coming in and hitting you in the face, okay, would that be a deadly wound that was healed because you didn't die from it? Could it have been misinterpreted as a deadly wound when it was just a pie in the face? You see what I'm saying? Because if you're back in biblical times, you're having a vision of something coming hitting somebody in the face, you're thinking the person's going to die. But it could be a pie in the face. And you might have misunderstood, because back in biblical times, there was no TV. People, slapstick comedy wasn't a thing back then. Somebody's getting mad and throwing a pie in your face could be a deadly wound that was healed, because it's not going to kill you. You see what I'm saying? That's just one thing a theory I'm thinking about is kind of weak, but it's plausible. You see what I'm saying? It's a weak one. The first one was strong. This is a weak theory, but it's just a theory nonetheless. Okay? Verse 4. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is likened unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? Well, I got a theory on that too. If you come up and you try to say anything negative against Bill Gates, what's going to happen to you as a result of you coming against Bill Gates and saying he does this, he does that, he does this, he does that? Because he's awful rich. Nobody, even if you had the evidence on him, I doubt he would ever get prosecuted for any crime that he committed because he's so rich. Everybody's afraid to come against Bill Gates. That's just my opinion, okay? But I'm just saying that he's awful rich, and in today our world we live in, people that are extremely rich rarely get prosecuted, if at all. Verse 5, and he was given unto him a mouth to speak great things and blaspheme, and power was given to him to continue 42 months. Well, if you do a date count from the date that Bill Gates stepped down on March 13th, 2020, you add 42 months. Okay, you add the 42 months, which is 1,260 days based on the Jewish count. It puts Bill Gates, being in around August, let me see, I have it written down here on a piece of paper real quick. August 25, 2020. Okay, August 25, 2020 gives Bill Gates 1,260 days or 42 months. I'm going to go and say that's probably how long he has to come up with a vaccine. Okay, he's been given the time because he stepped down to take over the COVID-19 vaccine research. Okay, he's got 42 months to come up with a vaccine. Is what my interpretation of that is. Okay, that's another reason I think that he's the Antichrist, or he could be the Antichrist. I have to clarify it because people will take me literal. He could be the Antichrist. Verse 6, and he opened his mouth and blasphemed against God, blasphemed his name, tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. Verse 7, and it was given to him to make war with the saints, to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Again, verse 7 fits Bill Gates. Okay? Because he has all authority now. He can say whatever he wants to say, and world leaders are listening to him. Okay? So that's all power, as power over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. He's telling people you got to social distance, you got to lock down countries, you got to get vaccinations, you got to get whatever Bill Gates says, the people of the world, the leaders of the world are listening to him and then passing laws based on whatever he says. That's really happening. That's another reason I think he could be the Antichrist. Verse 8, and all they that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose name is not written in the book of life, slain from the foundation of the world. Everybody's bowing down to Bill Gates. Okay? Everybody's bowing down to Bill Gates. Verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Again, verse 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. We're in a self-captivity, aren't we? In self-quarantine. We self-propose our own quarantine upon ourselves, so we're in our own captivity. We put ourselves in our own captivity by being self-quarantined. Verse 11, and I behold another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. and he spake as a dragon. And for all you wondering, I got asthma. I suffer from asthma. Okay, that's why I'm coughing. I suffer from asthma. Verse 12, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and he caused the earth and them to dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. Verse 13, and he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And this is another little weak argument, but it could be plausible based on technology today. Back in biblical times, okay, they didn't have satellites. Okay? If a satellite malfunctions and can crash down to Earth, that can cause fire to come down from heaven. Okay, you see what I'm saying? If a satellite, for whatever reason, malfunctions and comes down out of orbit, it can catch fire, so that could be interpreted as fire coming down from heaven. Well, I just want you to note that Bill Gates wants to put satellites up over the entire planet. You can look it up for yourself. Bill Gates plans to surveil the entire planet. Okay? That's a weak little argument, but that's one I thought that could fit. Verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had a wound, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Okay. Now, here's my theory on that. Okay, this is all speculation. I don't know. But if and when Bill Gates comes out with a vaccine and everybody can go back to what they call so-called normal, will the world be grateful to Bill Gates and make a statue to Bill Gates? Okay? That's what I'm thinking. Will the world be grateful to Bill Gates, letting everything go back to normal, and to make a statue to Bill Gates? That's just a theory I have. It sounds plausible, like, yeah, they probably would do it. Verse 15. And he had power to give life to the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause all, as many that will not worship the image of the beast, should be killed. Again, in biblical times, they had no knowledge of computer technology. They had no knowledge about robotics or AI. That never existed back in biblical times. So if you're seeing this vision in biblical times of an image of a beast walking around and talking, in your mind you ain't going to be able to connect the dots because the technology hasn't been invented yet at the time that you had the vision. But in today's world, computer programming, which Bill Gates does, okay, and you can build a robot, which robots exist. They're working on AI today. As you're seeing this video, they're working on AI and robotics, which takes computer programming, which Bill Gates just so happens to know how to do. So, that would explain he gives life to the image, the robot, that it should speak. You know, it can say stuff. I'm just saying, to me it's plausible. That's another reason that Bill Gates could be the Antichrist. But this is one of the biggest reasons I say that Bill Gates could be or might be the Antichrist. Verse 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Bill Gates, you can Google this yourself. Bill Gates calls for a digital certificate to identify who has received the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, I'll say it again. Bill Gates is calling for a digital certificate to identify who received the COVID-19 vaccine. That's a huge one to me. I mean, huge. That points to Bill Gates with like flashing, blinking lights. Okay, verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Bill Gates went on a news show, Fox News, and said, then we can look at some degree of opening back up. It is fair to say things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine. He says, it is fair to say that things won't go back to normal until we have a vaccine. Okay? So, you can't do anything. Businesses can't be opened back up again. That's buying and selling. Okay? Until you get a vaccine. Am I misinterpreting something? Am I not seeing something right? Am I reading into it more than what it is? So, that's another blinking highlight to me, that Bill Gates could be the Antichrist. 18. Here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, the number of the man, and his number is 666. Okay. Well, those are why I'm thinking Bill Gates could, those are the reasons I think that Bill Gates could be the Antichrist. I would like you to give me your feedback on it and what you think. But based on everything I was reading in the Bible, he fits a lot of the little boxes. Okay, I don't know how many boxes you have to check to say yes he is. I don't know if he needs to fulfill every one of them or if he has to fulfill like, half of them. But to me, he fills a lot of them that Bill Gates might well be the Antichrist talked about in Revelation 13. Just something for you people to think about.